All right, let's dive right into this explainer and set the scene. It's May 1864, and the armies have just crawled out of the horrific, burning nightmare of the wilderness. We're talking 28,000 casualties and a massive, bloody deadlock. But right here, at this exact juncture, the very nature of warfare as we know it was about to change forever.
Now, usually a Union commander would retreat, lick their wounds, and regroup. But not Ulysses S. Grant. He doubled down. He actually said, fight it out on this line if it takes all summer. You really get to see that gambler mindset here. He packs up and marches his armies 12 miles southwest, pushing deeper into enemy territory toward a little crossroads that was bound for bloody infamy, Spotsylvania Court House.
And this is where we see a literal clash of eras. That old, quote-unquote, civilized warfare, standing in neat little rows and politely trading volleys. Yeah, that was dead. Instead, we are witnessing the grim, muddy birth of trench warfare. These soldiers learned a harsh lesson really fast. If you want to survive, the absolute second you stop marching, you start digging. They were literally clawing into the red Virginia earth to stay alive.
And the Confederates? They didn't just dig shallow little ditches. They built an incredibly complex, formidable network of earthworks. But, and this is absolutely crucial to understand, it had a fatal structural flaw. There was this huge protrusion jutting out from the main trench, a salient. Because it looked like a giant U, they called it the Mule Shoe. The problem with a bulge like that, it can be attacked from multiple sides all at once. It was basically a giant bullseye.
So let's look at how May 12th actually unfolded. It starts at dawn, and it is pouring, just torrential rain, almost like nature itself was trying to wash away what was coming. Then, exactly at 4:30 a.m., boom, this immense wall of blue charges in. 20,000 Union soldiers stormed directly into the belly of Lee's defenses at the Mule Shoe. And that kicked off a localized, agonizing 20-hour nightmare of nonstop fighting. Any lingering idea of a proper war completely evaporated right there in the mud of what became known as the Bloody Angle. Once those lines crashed together, organized firing was totally out the window. It devolves into this brutal, intimate, hand-to-hand brawl. Men fought tooth and nail in a blinding rainstorm with bayonets and clubbed muskets. It was just pure, raw survival instinct completely taking over. To really grasp the sheer ferocity of this, consider this one detail. The firing in this concentrated space was so intense, so unimaginably heavy, that an oak tree, literally 2 feet thick, was completely severed. Not by a cannonball, not by an axe, cut down entirely by the relentless hail of bullets flying back and forth. You can actually go to the Smithsonian Institution today and see the stump of that very tree. It's a crazy, silent witness to the absolute madness of that day.
Now, let's step back and look at the macro-level consequences, because we have to pause on this staggering number. 14,000. That is a number of men killed in just a few short hours of this grim slaughter. I mean, it's so easy to just hear a huge number and glaze over, right? But remember, these were individual soldiers caught in an absolute meat grinder. The density of loss in such a tiny area simply defies belief. And as if that's not horrifying enough, compound it with another 16,000 wounded. So in just a matter of hours, you're adding 30,000 casualties to the already staggering toll of the Wilderness Campaign. This quiet, peaceful piece of farmland was violently transformed into an enormous graveyard. The dead were literally stacked on top of each other, tangled with the dying, all soaking in that endless rain. So the really big takeaway from this explainer is that Spotsylvania wasn't just another battle on a long list. It was a massive turning point. Grant kept throwing men against those rebel fortifications, essentially trading lives to keep the strategic pressure on. And the Confederates? They held on purely because they were properly dug in. This was the moment the modern war of attrition officially began. It wasn't about outmaneuvering the other guy in an open field anymore. It was about grinding the enemy down, man by agonizing man. And that casts a very dark, very long shadow into the future. Warfare permanently changed at the Bloody Angle. It moved into the mud, into the trenches, and became this relentless, brutal grind. Which leaves us with a pretty chilling question. If this was just the prologue to a brand new style of combat, what is the true cost going to be moving forward? What kind of staggering human toll is waiting for Ulysses S. Grant's army as we